Alright, we don't have a lot of time to record today. Picked up Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and received the Right Stuff package. Doesn't seem like there's been as many of them, but okay, there are a couple of things in here. It appears to be it. And then beside with the smile is the top of this. So let's get all this opened and get started with a Konosuba 2, the complete second season in OVA, which is nice. So, I think I mentioned last week about how there are two things that were lost and Amazon reordered them. Konosuba was one of those. This plastic is being a real piece of crap. Come on, I don't have unlimited time. Nice. Always nice when inside's different. It's going to be this way. Let's see, we've got Region A, we've got English dub. Which is interesting because I watched this one off Crunchyroll subtitled. But now I guess I get to see it dubbed. I guess I watched the first season dubbed off Crunchyroll as well. Oh well. Next up we have On-Gaku, Our Sound. This is a film by Kenji Iwasawa. Okay. I'm not sure what to make of it. This is a DVD release. Oh, okay. You know, I am kind of flying through these a little bit. I thought this was named something more than just pets. And it certainly looks weird. Let's see. In the back here I see Region A. I see it looks like Japanese with English subtitles. They don't hack into your computer, they hack into your mind. Sounds kind of Serial Experiments Lane-ish. Why does it feel like that's a meme sort of image? Interesting. Complete collection. Next up we've got Mr. Osomatsu Season 1. I'd like to say there's something familiar looking about this, except I can't get the stupid plastic. The plastic's just being completely... Yeah, I mean, it's all a perception thing because I feel like I don't have as much time to record today. Region A. English and Japanese. Stereo. Who are these? This is Viz. And now that I think about it, I mean, there's something about the art style that strikes me as being kind of older, but I think this is a newer series, and I think that's what makes this sound or look familiar. Oh. Again, not sure what to think. Next up we have If My Favorite Pop Idol Made It to the Budokan, I Would Die, which I'm not sure what to make of it. I mean, I've mentioned noir as something that I don't care for, and the idol stuff is kind of similar where, you know, I would say I just don't get it, as in, like, The idol idea where it's just like I'm watching one person on stage and I don't know, just idolizing a person is a little weird to me. Oh my god. None of this plastic has been very nice to me, has it? Now I'm getting the kind that likes to stick to the Blu-ray, and especially sticking to the top there. Okay, but yeah, regions A and B, English dub. And you know, this could be like Zombieland Saga, where it's just kind of neat for reasons other than. So it's sort of like Noir in that if it's all about just being an idol, I'm not sure if I care about it. I usually care about the other parts of it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm just flying through these, not stopping to breathe. Next up we have, it's probably my phone letting me know I have a dentist appointment next week at this time. Next week's going to be complicated. Darwin's game. Okay. I don't remember ordering this, but that's, you know, I don't remember ordering most of these either, so it's, one of the nice things about being surprised. I do kind of wonder, you know, since it says Darwin's game, if there's some sort of superpower thing going on here. I think I don't remember which side it was on. Well, that definitely looks more superpowery than the other stuff. But a lot of these characters don't look like they have superpowers. Disc 2, Disc 3. Mostly like they just have guns or computer hacker skills. Or guns. Glowing guns. Or maybe both. I don't know. And last but not least, we have, that is completely hard to read. Magical Record. Anyways, this is a Play the Magic Madoka Magica side story. So it takes place in the Madoka universe. But I do believe it's a completely different set of characters. I mean, so far, you know, unless you've actually watched this show itself yourself, none of these characters look all that familiar. They had some interesting art in there. It didn't look like it was all the usual character design stuff. That's disc 1, disc 2, disc 3, and original soundtrack. Just gonna say, it's the most familiar-ish looking character. Kind of resembles Homer a little. Anyway, here's this week's anime DVD collection update. So, really not a whole lot to update here because I didn't actually watch anything. Even with my Friday friend, so that would probably be the more interesting thing to talk about is with my Friday friend. So we've been joined by an additional friend who's been a closer friend of my Friday friend, but you know, a friend of mine as well. Here and there, you know, I guess friendly acquaintance might be a better term, just because you know we don't have any direct line of communication ever since you know, you grew up and go your different ways. Basically, we were on the same message board way back in the days. You know, that's a weird stuff. But the point is, they proposed something that was actually really useful to me, because right now, with my Friday friend, we are in between stuff, and it is nicer if we didn't start something new last week, because Konosuba was probably going to be what we would watch. You know, he already watched the first season. Watching season 2 would be next. But that was still in the package, and it would have been nice to open it for y'all, so an alternative would have been better. And the universe kind of had that in mind, because you know, even without getting to the point of presenting that information, they were like, oh,
can we try playing Starcraft? And for any of you out there who are like, oh, did you buy Starcraft? It's like, well, technically, yeah, I bought it at least once, because I got a battle chest in there. But I am talking about the original Starcraft and not Starcraft 2 or Starcraft Remade. Just good old classic Starcraft Brood War. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with the newer stuff, other than the fact that I feel like Blizzard as a company kind of went down a scummy kind of direction. Oh, yeah, well, we're going to remove these features and tell users, no, a single player game, no, you have to have internet connectivity. All that aside, it was really interesting. I think it's possibly been like 20 years since I played StarCraft. So there are little things I remember, like general ideas of how to do certain things, but no memories of tech trees at all or anything like that. I'm trying to think what that notification would mean, and yeah. This just means I need to make sure this part is pretty quick as well. Quick update today. Hopefully it's very short. So, for the most part, it was really interesting playing because, you know, I couldn't remember tech trees. I could remember certain ideas. I wanted to begin really easy just because I wouldn't even remember how to do stuff, and I'm like, yeah, maybe we could do a 3 versus 1 comp stomp or something. Because I did remember what we used to do, and, you know, my Friday friend's motivation was, no, we're not going through it. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to learn on the fly, and I guess I'm going to die, but fine, whatever. And to make matters worse, Friday friend was playing as Zerg, and the other friend was playing Protoss. I'm like, oh, that just means I should play as Terran, just, you know, to nice and even things out. And, you know, Terran are a very micromanaging thing, and for someone like me who's forgotten how to do tech trees, and, you know, I play some of these old games that I used to play, and I just feel a little more, I'm not sure if overwhelmed is the right word, but a little more like I can't pay attention to as much stuff as I used to be able to. Micromanaging is really hard, and so figuring all that out at the same was tricky, but it turned out we won that 3v5 comp stomp. So my friend that insisted on it, you know, the Friday friend, he ended up getting Zealot rushed, and as Zerg, you kinda get eaten alive by that sort of thing. So, and I probably wouldn't have been much better. I did remember certain things like, oh yeah, build supply depots to block them so that they can't get through, and, you know, I pumped out early Marines, a good handful of them, and I don't know. Eventually, all that stuff was just crazy because I couldn't remember how to deal with invisible enemies, and still don't remember how to as Protoss. That's really just not a problem for Zerg, is it? And yeah, so we won that one somehow, just by not dying, and I guess it's because the friend that did survive, he didn't necessarily have a good computer slaying strategy, but he did have a good computer surviving strategy, which pretty much allowed me to say, oh, you know, Wraiths aren't really going to cut it, are they? That's an Evolves Madness thing. So when I switched to battle cruisers and just started firing on everything, then it's all good. And part of the reason that we won is because these are money maps, so the computer's scripts don't handle those very well. And then in our follow-up game, we all played Protoss just because my friend didn't like it that he got rushed and died, and it's just like, he's going to do something where he's stronger there. And yeah, I'm trying to remember if I scored the highest or not, but it's just tricky to remember because I know in 2 categories I did, in 1 category I didn't, and I think the one I didn't was because I ended up losing more carriers, which makes me wonder if my friend maybe hasn't been like practicing and playing as much. But he remembered his Trek trees enough to build a very impressive fleet which had both observers and an arbiter, so he had a bunch of cloaked carriers. But, you know, I was just like, okay, I remember to put the photon cannons at the choke point near the entrance, and okay, how do I build up the tech tree? When do I start getting Vespene gas? Didn't know all this stuff, but kind of started, you know, building up, and looking at the replay, I did get carriers out first, so at least there's some sort of spirit of something that I used to do 20 years ago that's still alive there. It's really quite interesting, because I wasn't quite sure, okay, when should I start sending these out to kill, and what should my strategy be, and kind of learning some of that stuff on the fly. And just like, once I had 8 carriers and they had a lot of interceptors built, I just sent them to start harassing a computer player that was in between me and one of the friends, the Friday friend. And it's just like, interesting. It worked, because I did destroy the most structures, because it was just like, since I didn't have a good opinion on when to coordinate, when to attack versus not attack, it was just like, well, I should probably start doing it now so I know what I'm doing. And or not so I know what I'm doing, but so I know I'm making forward progress, I guess. And yeah. And if you're curious, my APM is pretty low at like 37 in that one. So it's like nothing that you would say, oh yeah, good gamer. But it is interesting to just remember back into the late 90s and playing Starcraft for the first time and never being able to beat a computer player, and now not knowing how to not beat a computer player. I think even on a non-money map I would do a much better job now, even in my confused state. So, interesting stuff. The other interesting thing, and this is probably the main thing that led to definitely no anime getting watched, so my computer monitor on my main computer started showing signs of dying, and in order to basically I kind of narrowed it down to the display itself, because it was flickering whenever audio was playing, and it had shut off a couple of times when I tried to do certain activities, and one of them I associated with just opening Microsoft Edge, which made me think it was a software issue. But then on Sunday it happened when I tried playing a specific video, and it kept happening a certain place in the video, and then I started associating it with the sound and realizing all sound playing through it was causing the graphics to fluctuate, which is usually not a good sign. And I eventually determined, okay, it's nothing coming over any of the signals, because I can turn the volume down on the monitor itself, and the problem lessens, which means it is definitely something inside the monitor itself, which means it's dying, which means I really need to go out and get a replacement. So I basically spent all day Sunday just slowly figuring out this replacement, because I just went to Best Buy and purchased an LG 27-inch. It does 4K, but I don't know that I'm outputting 4K, and I'm not sure if I've got a good plan for doing that. But the point is, it's a monitor much better than what I need for now, in case I want to upgrade to use that in the future. It's a little future-proofing, but it required me to re-engineer how my audio stuff is there. And the previous monitor, I determined was manufactured back in March 2010, so 11 years old. So, okay, it could be better, but whatever. That one had VGA, DVI, and HDMI for its inputs, and I still wanted all 3 inputs. The HDMI from the previous monitor being the lowest priority, but nowadays they don't really make VGA, DVI stuff. And I also kept misreading DisplayPort as DVI when they're, completely different things. DisplayPort is actually much newer than HDMI, 2 years newer than HDMI. So that meant that I had to kind of re-engineer things, because now audio is no longer built into my monitor, but it is still going into my monitor over DisplayPort HDMI instead of being fed into it, because the previous computer was VGA DVI centric. And that pretty much meant that, yeah, I had to re-engineer that, and it also meant that, digging old cables out, replacing other cables, etc., etc. I needed a 15-foot long DisplayPort cable instead of my 10-foot long DVI cable with a 5-foot DVI HDMI cable, something crazy like that, where it's just like, digging behind everything. And because the new monitor doesn't have speakers built in, I had to buy speakers, and I went very cheap on that because I never really cared about them. But it did mean huge engineering effort that didn't actually finish until yesterday. On top of that, doing taxes and all that, and laundry, just, it's like, oh my god, that's a lot of stuff to cram into 2 days. So yeah, of course I did. Well, anyways, that's why I didn't watch anything, so I don't know what'll change, but I should probably see what that notification was. Y'all, have a nice week.